Scattered sentiment may reflect that there is a public lack of confidence in your party, because most of the reforms that you and your party speak of now, they may argue that there was an opportunity during the Yahapalana government to implement these reforms. What would you do now to restore public confidence in your manifestos and your party promises?
Yeah, thank you for asking that question. You're correct that there are some of us who came from the United National Party into the SJB, and that is why that question arises. However, the SJB is a new party, so it has those who have come from the old party and then those who have come from other places. And when that does happen, it raises some questions in the minds of people. Right? But if you look at it realistically, if you look at it, right, and we talk about this often, some of the things that we would have done, right, during that period, we were not able to do. But there are some things that we...
For example, what would you cite?
One thing I would cite, for example, is going after the corrupt, right? And I would not take personal responsibility for that. I think the leaders of the party are responsible for that. You see, particularly, right, legislation should have been brought in, going after the corrupt, right? Assets and liabilities, making it public, right, hasn't been done. In fact, recently I have presented to Parliament a private member's bill on it. But I kept saying, okay, let the bill take its time. But I've called upon the present president to make his assets public. I've called upon, there are two other past presidents sitting in Parliament. I've called on them to make the assets public. If they do it, then members of Parliament, we are all compelled then to do it. Countries are not changed by just making laws, but by example. So they don't. Then stolen assets, right? Everybody says there are stolen assets in the country, outside the country. There's a United Nations program on it. We just need to bring a law here, create an authority so that they can go after stolen assets. So that didn't happen during our time, and it hasn't still happened. Then, in addition to that, making the commission, SJB, the Commission, Anti-Bribery and Corruption Commission, independent. It's not independent. Presently, investigators are given by government. Governments change, investigators are withdrawn. All the investigations fall apart. And time goes by. That hasn't happened as well. So some of this is, right, politicians have responsibilities. Some of these politicians are not directly responsible. Look at, for example, if somebody has stolen and they have to be prosecuted, right? The Attorney General's department is supposed to do it. How many prosecutions have the AG's department done? Hardly any. Hardly any. So that is why we are now arguing, right? We are a new party. We have thought of these policies anew. And we are arguing strongly, saying there should be an independent public prosecutor. Because I was the State Minister of Finance, and hopefully nobody accused me of stealing $1. But there were institutions which I worked with: Customs, Inland Revenue, Excise. Did anybody say that the corruption levels in those went down? No, they didn't.